So I'm going to just start by letting everybody aware that we're having some technical issues this morning, so bear with us. We may have to stop and address some of that as we go. And if I could have your attention, I'm going to make you aware that council meetings are available live through Zoom, and recordings may be posted online on County of Huron's YouTube channel. You may be seen and or heard as part of these broadcasts, and your name, comments, and or presentation materials will become part of the public record. So with that, I would like to call this meeting to order. And under Warden's remarks, just a few things of attendance in the last couple of weeks. And just want to make you aware that the Huron County Municipal Officers Meeting was held, and first one we've had since 2019. And there was certainly some good feedback from those in attendance. Glad to see that up and going again. There was a Volunteer Appreciation Day at the museum for those volunteers at the museum and jail. And just want to make you aware that there's over 55 volunteers that help out at the museum. And I think that's something worth noting, and certainly appreciate the work and effort they do. And to have that many volunteers that dedicated, I think just demands some special attention. So certainly want to reach out and thank those volunteers for their work to keep the museum and jail such a thriving place to have visitors come to. And also, I was at the Huron County Road Supervisors Annual Meeting, and certainly county staff and lower tier staff there, and just made a note of thanking them on behalf of the residents of the county for keeping our critical infrastructure up and going through the challenging winter we had. And it's good to just take time just to thank them for those efforts. Much appreciated, and they do good work. So with that, I'm going to ask for an approval of the agenda. Councillor Basnet and Councillor Anderson would second that. Those in favor, and that is carried. Is there any pecuniary interest to declare at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to go to the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there any errors or omissions to address? And if not, I'd be looking for motion to adopt. So Councillor Becker, past Warden McNeil would second that. Those in favor, that is carried. And we do have a close to the public session that we are going to enter this time. So I'd be looking for a motion that we go into close to the public session at 9:52 a.m. Councillor Harding, Councillor McClellan seconds that. Those in favor, and that is carried. All right, I'd be looking now for a motion to rise from closed and come back into open session. So it's Councillor Heffer, Councillor Basnet would second that. Those in favor, and that is carried. And our CAO, Megan Wark, is going to do a reporting out of our closed session.
Thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Warden. The purpose of going into closed session today was to receive an update subject to a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiation carried out on behalf of the municipality in terms of a funding request.
All right, so we are at item 7 on our agenda, and it's delegations and petitions. And the Minnesotong Bridge Association has a presentation for us. And Michael Dawson, welcome. And when you're ready, you go ahead with your presentation.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, Warden Heffer and councillors. Thanks for entertaining our delegation again this morning. I don't have much of an electronic presentation. Most of what's available, there was a letter that we sent dated April 14th that sort of summarized some of the things that are involved. What I'll be talking about most of all is our current fundraising activities, and there's a list here of where we are financially. It includes some of the major partners and major donations, individuals and businesses. So as you know, Stratcon, our construction firm, has started work on the bridge, and the bridge will be closed for several months. We have two parts of a contract, and the part one of the contract involved the concrete repairs on tops of the piers, piers 2, 3, 4, and 5. This was our highest priority work. Cost was approximately $660,000, and we now have sufficient funds for that, so we are quite pleased to proceed. Part 2 involves the concrete repairs at the bottom of sections of piers 2, 3, and 4. We'd really like to do the work this year. We save at least $100,000 in setup costs, and it also avoids closing the bridge another time in the future. We really like to get all the work done this year. So the key information about the funds we have received and the funds pledged for later are summarized on this page. There are a few changes since I've just updated. There's a few changes since April 14th. So one important change that we note is that last week we were notified that we have some economic development funding, SLED funding, that we're eligible for $5,000, and I think that's from the county. Much appreciated. That'll be a big help. So just to go through, we first came to council February of 2024. The bridge needed repairs, and the estimated costs were $720,000. We had applied for a grant, and we suggested that if we received the grant, that we would raise $180,000 from the community. I want you to note that $180,000, because that's still important. We said if the town of Goderich contributed $180,000 and the county $180,000, and we got the grant, that we'd be able to proceed. We learned in July that we were eligible for $200,000 from the federal program. In the fall, the town of Goderich promised $50,000, and in fact, we received $50,000 from the town. Township of ACW pledged money over 3 years, or maybe even 5 years, but we have received $10,000 from the township in the fall, and then another $20,000 recently. So in the meantime, we've approached many other of our partners. We have commitments from the trail groups of $80,000. Service clubs include the Rotary, Lions, Kinsman Club, Canets. There's others as well. We have $120,000. And individuals and businesses have committed $260,000. So in total, with money pledged on into next year, we're now up to $775,000, which is, we're really appreciative of all the community's interest and support. So many groups and individuals have been incredibly generous, and we've come a long way. Thing is, we still have $180,000 to go, and aside from the county, we have substantial commitments from all our major partners. We've already approached everyone we know who might consider a large donation, so $180,000, I mean, we've done wonderful so far, but $180,000 is still a large number for us. So we appreciate that we had a chance to talk to a number of councillors who've been very helpful with their suggestions. We've done everything we can, but we've heard that the moratorium on funding community groups will prevent council from making a financial commitment. So certainly understand the reasons for the moratorium, but I'm going to argue that that should not apply in this case. We have a very unusual situation where the title for this vital community infrastructure is held by a corporation. The corporation has the mandate to keep the bridge in repair and to make it accessible to all comers, whether local residents or visitors from afar. But this corporation has no other assets, no source of funding other than what the community will provide. So as you know, I've been involved in this since we started back in 1990, and I was involved in, so just a little history of what our corporation is about. So in 1990, there was great enthusiasm to rescue the bridge, but there was no group or level of government that was willing to take ownership. So I sat in Paul Ross's legal office as we applied to incorporate the Manistee Bridge Association to basically act as a vessel to hold ownership of the bridge in everybody's interest, in the public interest. So we were able to incorporate just in time, and we actually, with all public contributions, we were able to purchase the bridge in September of 1990. So the first duty of for our corporation, the first duty of the board is to keep the corporation legal. So for 35 years, we have had annual general meetings. We elect the volunteer board, we keep the minutes, maintain financial records, and file a tax return. So our second job is to keep the bridge open to the public. In order to provide public access, we must be insured. To qualify for insurance, we must have periodic engineering inspections, which occur every 4 to 5 years. The engineers must certify that the bridge is safe, or else we can't get insurance. And that's what brought us to the situation now. We have a report from the engineers that the bridge needs repairs to keep it safe. So we're now in a spot where this corporation is looking to the public, but we have this very large amount to raise. So we have four board members who, generally year after year, our main job is to send out our newsletter. We get enough money to do basic maintenance on the bridge, and so we sort of questioned, did the 4 elected board members sign up to be involved in a $960,000 community project? So, as I said, we send our newsletter to our supporters. Some send donations, some register as members. This entitles them to vote at general meetings or serve on the board. But the board members and general members are no different than the general public as far as privileges on the bridge. So we receive enough money to pay for insurance administration and routine bridge maintenance. We don't have regular trail volunteers, and we have no paid staff. Of our 4 board members, 3 of us have been on the board right from the start, 35 years. We are all over 60, 2 of us are over 80. We have no source of income other than what the community is willing to provide. All we can do is advocate for the bridge when something is needed. This has worked for 35 years, and hopefully the corporation can continue to hold title to the bridge for years to come. Despite the corporation holding title, the bridge is clearly a public asset. It's a historic landmark. It's a major tourist attraction. It offers recreational opportunities. It has a role in economic development, and is now a critical link in trail systems with regional and now national connections. The 4 of us on the board can only advocate for the bridge. For the project to succeed, all major partners in the community need to step up. We believe that the county, like so many others, has an interest in the long-term viability of the bridge. If you're looking at our board as a community group, the Bridge Association is a community group in terms of we've been involved in so many things connected with trails, but that's not really our core. Our core job is to hold the bridge and for the public. So it's not it's not our board that needs the support. It's the bridge. This infrastructure piece needs support. The county is our last major partner, and we hope that you'll find a way to participate in this public campaign. We did make some suggestions. If you can provide some assistance, our best option would be to match up with some of our other major partners, would be $40,000 to $50,000 in this year. Next best would be the same amount over 2 years. There was some concern about bridge funding, but a lot of our donations have come in this year. Some that were pledged over 2 years, people are paying them this year, understanding that the job is happening this year. But a third option, $25,000 in funding and the $100,000 loan to be paid back in 2026 would be an option as well. So thanks for listening to our appeal, and I'm happy to answer any questions about our organization.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson, for the information you've presented. And I'm going to open up for council if there's any questions. Councillor Besnet.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Warden. Mr. Dawson, I just want to thank you and the 3 other members for the work that you've done. You mentioned in 1990 that it was purchased for $18,000. Community helped out with that, and you see community still helping out with it. It is an important landmark in the county. It draws quite a bit of tourism. I'm just curious. You mentioned, you're looking for $180,000 still, I believe is what you said.
We're still actively in our community campaign, but
yeah,
so we've already got a lot of the major contributors.
Is there any prospects out there that have, maybe mentioned that they're willing to make a donation to you that you can make us aware of?
Again, there's a couple more. We're optimistic that we will continue to get close to the goal. I think we really intend to do the work this year, but every contribution helps. So large or small, we're quite welcome to it. We have one more community group, but they have they haven't said we don't count chickens before, but they have said that they. We understand that they've talked about making a donation, and it would be a significant donation. But that's getting down to the last of those that we might expect to make a larger contribution. So now we're down to the smaller contributions, and hopefully they will continue.
Okay, any further questions? Councillor Vanstone?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden. Did you guys, I know you're a corporation and I don't know if you can, but did you go to the bank to see if you could borrow the money? Because I see you could say it back to pay it back in 2026. So I was just wondering if you had contacted the bank or anybody like that. I know it's a corporation, so it'd be a little tougher to get a loan.
There's an organization that offered to provide us with a loan. But when we said the number was, at the time it was $200,000 or even $300,000, and they said, well, they would have to charge interest at 9%. So we did have access to it, but 9% interest, that's a lot of fundraising to pay, $9,000 or $18,000 back a year from now. We'd rather continue on to raise funds right now.
Any other questions from council? Councillor Harding.
I just wonder, you got some press coverage in the last, I'd like to say week, I'm not sure of the timetable, but is that generating some interest or some hopeful help or not?
Yeah, it was interesting. We have Canada Helps. I was away for a week, but I was seeing the donations come in from Canada Helps. So those are basically online donations. And right after our last presentation, we received several $1,000s just from people we don't know over the following week. So yes, all the again, there's just 4 of us trying to get the message out. We're doing the best we can, but everyone that takes the network a little further is a big help.
Okay. Go ahead, follow up, Councillor Harding.
My hope though is now that there's work started on the bridge, that should help too, bring in some more donations of people that are using the bridge and in support of the bridge, and that's what I am hoping.
And we're very hopeful as well. But again, donations that come in at, like a $25,000 contribution, that's 50 $500 contributions that we have to, raise from the public. And that's hard work.
Councillor Klopp.
Thank you. Appreciate the plan. I know it's there, been help donate money to it. Family have used it. That isn't sort of the issue for me, but the $100,000 loan payment, how would that be paid back? Like, you have anyway, 2026. How would you come up with that 100,000?
Well, that would be some of that's bridge funding. We have pledges for next year as well, but our bills are going to come due this year if we do all the work this year, which we hope to. So the bridge financing would allow us, when some of these pledges come in next year, we will have the money to pay it back, but we just don't have the money to pay the bills this year.
Follow up, Councillor Klopp.
Thank you. And my farm, we have loans, and I can appreciate what you're talking about, but at the same time, if it's right about 180,000, and probably, as you pointed out, there's some bridge you'll need a bit more, but I just point out to you, I think when you said, well, if we get a loan at 9%, but we have to pay it back within a year, I'm just throwing out that maybe with the goodwill of your organization, I don't know what institutions you've been talking to, but I would hope that they would put that loan out more than a few years for you to get it paid back, especially when you're looking here at the county, like a year and a half of $100,000 that you're obviously confident to pay back. You just told me. I just throw that out to you as we go through this process.
Any other comments, Council? Past Warden again.
Yeah, my understanding is we're going to deal with this resolution later in the meeting, so I'll save most of my comments for that time. But I just wanted to express my thanks to Mike and his organization for. I know it's been a lot of work. It's been a long time, and it is a wonderful asset for the county. So I just wanted to personally thank you and your group for all the work that you've done over the past, and I mean, you've raised $775,000. That's quite impressive too. So my personal thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate that, and I think it's that sort of appreciation that keeps us going. We've had such broad appreciation that it keeps us at it.
All right, so I'm going to ask if there's someone willing to put forward a motion to receive this for information. Past Warden again, seconded by Councillor Noel. Those in favor? And that is carried. And thank you for your presentation, Mr.
Thanks very much.
At this time, I'll be asking if there's any councillors' comments. Councillor Besnet.
Thank you through you, Mr. Warden. Just want to make everyone aware, construction will start May 12th. And I know there was an email sent out for information on where county councillors can park. There are numerous parking lots, but just for everyone's information, construction is going to start May 12th, and it's going to start at South Street, work its way to East Street. And then that should be done hopefully mid-August. And then they'll start at South Street again and work their way to West Street. And we'll hopefully be done that by Remembrance Day. And then it'll stop in the winter, and then we'll continue in 2026. So just for information purposes, I thought I'd share that with everyone. When they are arriving, there's no surprises.
Thank you for that update. And I know me and my cohort this morning were scouting for potential parking spaces for our next meeting. So thanks for the update. We have a consent agenda. There's 5 items on that. Is there anything anybody wants to draw our attention to? And if not, then I'd be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda. And that's Councillor Heffer, seconded by Councillor Finch. And those in favor, that is carried. I am going to call a short comfort recess. It is almost 10:30, so I think if we just come back as quickly as possible, and we'll continue the meeting then. All right, welcome back. And I'm going to go straight to item 10 on our agenda, and that's. Okay. Yep, we're going to go to cultural services, which is 11-1. And Beth. Hey. Dave, we're just introducing you and you weren't there to introduce. So welcome, Dave. Dave is going to bring us up to speed with our annual update for forest conservation. Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you, Warden Heffer, councillors and colleagues. I'm pleased to be here this morning to present my annual forest conservation update with a couple of minor additions at the end. Thanks, Lavicha. So this is a shot from out in the Bannockburn tract, formerly known as the Varna Pit. And this is a great picture of our property services crew doing a bit of team building and also nature therapy thrown in on top of that. So they had a great couple of hours out there, and that property is getting a lot of use and a lot of accolades coming to the county for keeping it the way it is and enhancing it. Okay. I had a little extra help last summer. We had Matus, who hailed from Brazil, on a Rotary exchange, and he was very helpful to us. You see him there measuring our last healthy butternut tree out in the Moreland tract, part of a butternut recovery project through the Forest Gene Conservation Association. Matus was also helpful spreading wood chips in some of the wet sections on the trails in Bannockburn, and he did a few other things. We had a summer student named Sam Orr, who was just fantastic. She is at UBC taking forestry, and we have another summer student has just started this year, an environmental summer student, and it looks like she's going to be fantastic as well. Just wanted to give a quick summary of forest conservation bylaw activity. As always, there's proactive site visits going on all the time with me and woodland owners to assist with bylaw compliance. There are 2 cases still before the courts from 2023, and we're hopeful that we're heading toward resolution on those, but no further comment on that at this time. There was a 3rd case from 2023 that involved the clearing of an acre of good woodland, and there were guilty pleas in that case and fines of $52,000 plus 25% victim surcharge for a total of $65,000, and that was for the clearing of 1 acre. And that does, I think, reflect the seriousness of forest conservation and also the land values that we're dealing with now. And that was a successful outcome, and it was agreed to by both parties. We had 133 commercial timber harvests in 2024, and 20% of those involved woodland owners who were using professional forestry advice. We're always looking for ways to increase that. The landowners who use professional foresters tend to get better returns and quite often better jobs in their woodlots, but it remains to be a challenge to up that number. Part of the reason for that is that there's so many cuts right now that involve ash salvage only. There's many woodlands that are a high proportion of ash. And so really people feel if all we're doing is cutting ash, we'll just have somebody who's equipped come in and do that. And that is leading to that lower number of people seeking good forestry practice. Just a few highlights from the county forests in 2024. The recreational usage seems to remain high. It's stayed high since COVID. And 12 out of the 14 county tracts are now included in the new hiking guide, which is just great. when people are asking me where they can hike, I just refer them to that, either the great publication or the website that promotes our county tracts and all the other great hiking opportunities that we have. We are continuing periodic winter maintenance. Excuse me. And as you can imagine, that was a bit of a challenge this winter. But every time I would go by the Stevenson tract in particular near Brussels, there would be people in the parking lots. So that was really, really good to see. And the accessible trail and boardwalk in the Hayes tract has been getting a lot of use as well. Okay. We had a successful harvest in the Roger tract in North Huron. That was completed late in the fall of last year. The price per cord of wood, and that's how it's sold, is by the cord, is much higher now that we're getting into some of the larger, more high quality material. And the revenue from that was 69,000 prior to the year end, and another 55,000 early this year. That money all goes into the Forest Conservation Reserve for investment back into the properties. Just some plans for 2025. We're continuing to salvage the last of our ash in the Adams, Collins, and Taylor tracts up in the northeast part of the county. The inventory work, we're working on doing a full inventory of the county forests this year and next. That'll help plan harvests for the next 10 or 20 years. And continuing to support the Maitland Valley Forest Health Study. Continued trail maintenance where necessary, and continuing that promotion of good forestry practices in private woodlands. Next. As you all know, I also act as the weed inspector for the county and many of the local municipalities. Just wanted to say a little bit about the Weed Control Act. It's one of the oldest pieces of legislation in Ontario, going back to the 1800s. It is primarily about preventing weeds that cause problems for agriculture and horticulture, and now the new element of human health. Proper plant identification is always really important, and giant hogweed is a great example of that. You see on the left there the giant hogweed, which can actually get to be 14 or 15 feet tall. It's a very, very big problem for people who get into it and get the sap on them and then go out in the sun. There's certainly some horror stories about it. We have a couple of hot spots in the county, and we've been working on those. But there's another native weed, or not weed, but a native plant called purple angelica. And it's actually a beneficial plant. And to the untrained eye, lots of people think it's giant hogweed. And most of the calls that I get are about purple angelica. So just wanted to point that out because identification of these weeds is so important. There's actually 25 weeds on the list. Next slide. This is one that we're starting to watch, and it's become a particular problem in the northeast of the county. And it's coming down from Grey County and Blue Mountains, where they've had problems for years. I think this weed's been around in the northeast of the county for over 20 years, probably, but we're seeing more and more of it. It's going to be flowering in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's called wild chervil, and there's a quote there: "Wild chervil proves a pesky invader," and that's a quote from down in Vermont, where they have a lot of trouble with this weed. I was talking to our road supervisors last week about it, and trying to get it on their radar, and they're all engaging in various levels of weed control activity. The problem is when it jumps onto private land, it becomes much harder to deal with because you're dealing with lots of private landowners. So we are trying to get the word out to people. And that's really a lot of my work with the weed inspection, is helping people with advice, and certainly first thing is proper identification. A lot of people look at this and think, oh, it's wild carrot. It's fairly benign, but it's much worse than wild carrot, and it flowers much earlier. And it's primarily a problem in pasture and hay situations, not so much in field crops. So just wanted to put that on your radar. And that's all I have. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Well, thank you, Dave, for your annual update. And it's certainly good to see people are out hiking and enjoying our county forests. They're there to be enjoyed, and I'm glad that those numbers are up. So I'm going to turn it over to County Council. Is there any comments? Councillor Becker.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Thank you, Dave, for your report. Very good. Concern of a lot of residents down at the south end. Farmers are clearing the edges of their fields with excavators, high hose, and making like it looks like a mess to the edge of the hay swamp, I'll put it, because that's where it is. And like they should be going in with a chainsaw, cleaning up properly, but it leaves the woodlots looking like crap is what it is. And it's really a terrible job that they're doing. And there should be some control over how they're handling this, I think.
Through you, Warden Heffer, to Councillor Becker. Yes, it seems every time I turn around, somebody else has bought a new hi-ho, and there's a lot of edging of woodlands that is going on, and those are on my radar. Quite often I get calls on those, and quite often I'm walking the edge of woodlands as well, because sometimes there may be things like European buckthorn that are growing on the edge that it's perfectly acceptable to try to clean that up. However, there's lots of people who kind of go overboard too, and we have had a couple of cases where there was serious edging of a woodland, and they were getting into the native tree species. So I certainly do receive a lot of calls on that, and I follow those up.
Councillor Noel.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I wonder if I could just share a brief good news story related to the presentation that you've just provided. Dave, you mentioned Matus from Rotary Exchange, the student. We received an update yesterday that he has secured related employment in his home country now based on the experience he's had in Huron County. And so I just wanted to mention the global impact of the work that we're doing here in Huron County. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I just want to thank everybody for participating in that with our exchange student. Thank you.
Through you, Warden, to Councillor Noel, we learned a lot from Matus, and one of the things that I learned and that we learned was that every farm operation in Brazil is mandated to keep a certain amount of natural cover, and you know, we think of Brazil as a place where they're doing a lot of land clearing in the Amazon, but actually on their farm operations, they are mandated to have a certain percent of natural cover. And I thought that was quite interesting.
Okay. Past Warden McNeil.
Thank you very much, Warden Heffer, and to Dave. Thank you very much for your presentation to us for various levels. As the Warden said, we want our residents and the public to enjoy our forests, which they are. And it's because the shape that they're in that they're able to do that. And bringing the awareness to us as far as invasive species to be aware of is knowledge that we can all benefit from throughout the county. So thank you very much for the great work that you're doing for all residents and those that come to visit Huron County.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. I'm going to ask for a motion to receive Dave's report, and that's Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Becker. Those in favor, and that is carried. Cultural Services, there is a session report from Elizabeth Frank Gibson, and Beth is here for questions that isn't. Seeing none, then I'd be looking for a motion to, go ahead. Okay, a seconder for that motion, Councillor Van Stone, to receive the report, and those in favor. That is carried. Thank you. Under correspondence, there's some items there. Is there anything anybody wants to pull out of that list and draw attention to? Councillor Basnet.
Through you, Mr. Warden, item 12.20 is Huron Chamber of Commerce letter regarding requests to reopen and extend the Ready Immigration Pilot Program. I'd like to make a motion to support that.
Okay, motion to support, and that's past Warden Ginn would second that. Those in favor? That is carried. Any other items on this list to pull out? Councillor Klopp?
And 12.7, our Township of Howick letter, did we already support that? I just wanted to just notice that I did read it. Thanks for sending it, but did we follow through with support at some point?
If it was previously supported, it would be in the next section under previously supported, so it has not been at this time. So I'd take that as a motion to support that. And a seconder, Councillor Harding. Those in favor? And that is carried. Anything else? Councillor Dietrich.
Thank you. Just under 12.8, the appointment of our new OPP inspector for Huron County. Just wanted to welcome her, and I'm sure she's going to be great. I've had some good conversations with her so far, so I just want to bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you for that. All right. So we'd be looking for motion then to accept the correspondence that was not specifically dealt with for information. That's Councillor Finch, seconded by Councillor Heffer. Those in favor? That is carried. And under new and unfinished business, we have the public transit in Huron County report, and Chris Watson is here to present this to us. So welcome, Chris, when you're ready.
Good. Thank you very much, Mr. Warden. I think for the purposes of this report, I just wanted to just make a couple of very brief comments. First, to say that this report is intended to address a request made by council earlier in the year for a staff report on public transit. As well, it updates a report that I made in November. I think with that, I'm going to stop there and just and throw it open to councillors' questions. I know there's a lot in there, so do feel free.
Right. To council, is there any questions? Councillor Klopp.
And maybe it's more as a comment. So we're basically we're consulting widely and getting more information because, as pointed out here in the financials, we did have a request for 75,000 in 2025, but we did defer it. And I'm assuming that's because council probably felt that we were a little too early to do the study. So what I'm gleaming from what you're doing right now is still consulting widely and getting more information. I'm okay with that. Thank you very much. Just as you know, we at our south end have been working, and Goderich is also as part of a group. So yeah, I think you need to move slowly and make sure that you're getting some stuff. We also don't want to hinder all the good work that's already there, because sometimes politicians above us start going, oh, you're going to do it, and then they drop. So always keep that in mind. We want to build on what we've got, I hope.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Warden. Thanks, Councillor.
All right. Councillor Besnet.
Through you, Mr. Warden, I just want to thank Chris for the work here. It is important work, and it's good to get more data for us to collect. And I am hopeful to see something in the future. I think it is needed, but you know, if it does get implemented, I don't want us to give up on it after 3 months, right? It's going to take some time to make people aware of what's being offered. And far too often, I remember years ago, there was something offered in public transportation, whether it was a bus, and after 2 months it was pulled. And I don't want to see that. And I don't even think we need to go so much to the bus route. I think it's more of the accessible vans and things like that, you know, more of a transit in that scenario. So I do appreciate the work, because we have had discussions, several discussions, and we've met with, you know, certain people like Via Transit. And, you know, everything costs money. But I think there's a way and there's a will to get this done at some point. So thank you for that.
Councillor.
pass Warden Ginn.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment just on the disparity between the funding in urban areas and rural areas. And I think it's imperative that we have rural organizations such as Roma and Western Warden to lobby that. So I just hope County Council continues to support those organizations.
Good comment. Anything else? All right. Is there someone willing to consider the motion that's been prepared for us? Councillor Finch, Councillor Basnet would second that. Those in favor, and that is carried. Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
And we are at the Huron County Immigration Attraction Options, and Mark Nonkus is going to present to us virtually. So Mark, welcome. And once you're geared up here, we'll turn it over to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, Mark.
All right. Through you, Warden. This report was a request from Council, as mentioned in last month's presentation from the Huron County Chamber of Commerce about the READY program. As you know, the READY program enables international workers with a permanent full-time job offer in a specific workforce area to be eligible for permanent residency. This was a one-year pilot project by the Ontario government that did not have funds attached to it and relied on community funding to deliver the program. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any questions from council? Councillor Klopp.
Thank you. Yeah, in reading the report there, so you brought one very close to us, Sarnia. So they had a group of 31 community business / groups. Obviously, we have an organization. It's written in here. So the next steps, then you're going to just continue to monitor and work with the groups and see what, if there's a program can come up. I think we had in our letters, there was quite a support for the government opening it up. Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to be clear what were the next steps. And there's still consulting widely, working with our organizations and building on if we can do something. Obviously, we have it pretty close here how it worked. So I know you and I always talk about don't rebuild something if you can borrow. So I'm glad that see at least 4 projects did get going. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Basnet.
Yeah, thank you through you, Mr. Warden. Mark, I just want to thank you for all the work you do. And I'm just curious, with Colin Carmichael's Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce delegation at our last meeting, I'm assuming that there'll be, continued communication between the Immigration Partnership and the Chamber in regards to this scenario. I know in the report here it mentioned there was a gathering in Dashwood for people to attend and stuff like that. And I'm hopeful that we can get somewhere. We just passed the resolution to send a letter in support regarding the READY program. But in regards to newcomers, for example, if they're in Central Huron, I'll use my 2 neighboring councillors on either side of me here. Was there transportation provided to them to get to Dashwood? Because I know some of the barriers are transportation.
No, there is no transportation funds within our budgets.
Is there a way that, I just feel like it's unfortunate that maybe some people can't attend some of these events because of the transportation. And I guess that's a conversation that we need to have with County Council here. But I just would like to see people be able to attend as many events as possible to help them, be able to stay here in Canada as well. We heard from, some of our businesses of what the struggles are and to get themselves established here. And they're so thankful to be here. And I'm not saying anything negative to the work that you're doing because I greatly appreciate it. I know all of County Council does, but I just wonder if there's other avenues that we can help out with this.
Yeah, there is another organization that the Immigration Partnership helped start. It's called the Huron Welcome Hub, and they provide volunteer drivers who assist newcomers and drive them to appointments. We regularly work with them on activities, and we did reach out to them to ask whether or not they had drivers available on that day for that event. They did, but there was no one who requested a driver.
Okay, Councillor Klopp.
And if that theme of, glad it's brought up, but the businesses themselves also need to step up. It's their benefit to, if they have a worker that they feel that they want to keep on, it is partly their responsibility too. And I don't want us to, and the same people pay property taxes. So I think it's still, we need to put pressure on them. And I think it's there, the fact that there was none asked, probably, I would hope, is because the owners of the companies said, we want you to be here.
Okay. I think we're at a point of addressing a motion here, if somebody would be willing to do that. Councillor Klopp. That would receive the report by Mark Nonkus. Councillor Harding would second that. Those in favor? And that is carried. All right. So we are on the third item under unfinished business, and that's the motion to defer. And I'm going to turn this over to our clerk, Susan Cronin.
Thank you. So we had a presentation from the Minnesota Bridge Association a while ago. There was a motion that was put on the floor. That motion is presented in front of you. It was moved and seconded prior to the vote. There was a request that it be deferred pending further information and a presentation from them. So they came today, so they presented it. We now need to deal with the motion that is on the floor. It is included in the agenda today. It was moved by Councillor P. Heffer, seconded by Councillor J. Dietrich, and that motion was the one that was in the report from our Director Treasurer Blumhagen, and that was to not approve the funding of $300,000. That one has to be dealt with prior to any other motions that may be considered.
Okay, so that motion has been on the floor for some time, and we are going to address it now. So I'm going to turn it over to County Council for comments. Past Warden McClellan.
Well, if I read the motion properly, Mr. Warden, we've received the new information and there is no longer even a request for that amount anymore. So I don't know why we just don't accept the fact that we're moving on from the original motion that was in the deferral. So I'm not sure what that step is, but I'll make that motion of whatever it is.
Go ahead, Susan.
Sorry, the motion is on the floor. The only thing that you need to do right now is to vote on that motion.
Okay.
Okay, so if you vote on the motion and you defeat it, okay, then we move on. There may be another ask. If you approve it, you're not giving them funding of $300,000.
If you approve it, we're not doing the original request.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Past Warden again.
Couple of things. Just in the background, it says the following motion was approved and it wasn't approved, it was deferred. I just wonder if that should be changed in case somebody reads the agenda and thinks it was approved. The second is just clarification. When it says does not approve funding of 300,000, are we talking a grant or are we talking a loan? I just wonder if that could be clarified.
And Clerk Cronin will clarify that.
The tail end of that motion, it does say in any form. So that would be anything.
Okay. And if I could, you know, I brought forward a motion to loan the money to them. And it's something we've done in Central Huron before with excellent results. I'll give you one example. Our baseball diamonds are run by a group of volunteers, the hardball diamonds, and they cut the grass, they do all the maintenance, and they're absolutely beautiful. Ben Lobb has a baseball camp in Clinton every year, and we've had former major league players come. And I've had several of them comment on those ball diamonds. And one said that they had played in a city with 500,000 people that didn't have ball diamonds as nice as what we had in a town of 3,000, municipality of 8,000. But to me, it just shows an example of what you can do when you work with volunteers. And I think, the presentation we had earlier today about, that board being active for 35 years and raising funds for such a long time. Whenever there's an opportunity to help volunteers and in this case, save them $100,000 from bringing the contractor back another year, I'm gonna sit on the side of the volunteers. So I won't be supporting the motion. And I'm hopeful that, they can approve getting the work all done in 1 year and getting that wonderful facility back open to the public.
Okay, other comments? Past Warden McClellan?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I almost need clarification, whether it be from Past Warden Ginn or staff, but if we were to turn this down, because this is no longer the request of what they're actually asking for financially, a motion could be put on the floor and then have a discussion for a different amount or a different process of actually raising the fund. Because to me, the way this is written, it's no longer viable, but we could still carry on right after this if it gets rejected.
That is correct. Councillor Finch, please.
Yeah, thank you. Through the warden. The reality is that if this was approved, it would be not appropriate use of county tax dollars, quite honestly. No disrespect to anyone, but this is more of a lower tier responsibility. If the lower tier, like if Central Huron wants to jump in on this with ACW and Goderich, so be it. But this should not be something that we should be supporting the funding. So the motion in front of us is that we should not approve. And I would agree with that. We do not approve the funding of this. It could be easily, like I say, easily accomplished by the lower tiers themselves that actually benefit directly. The county council has to, respectfully, we just have to be respectful of the volunteers, of course, but we have to be realistic too as to what our responsibilities are. So I would support the fact we do not approve the funding in any form.
Okay, Councillor Basnet.
Could I request a recorded vote at this time with the motion that is on the floor?
Yes, our clerk will conduct a recorded vote when we get to that. Councillor Noel?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I just wanted one clarification, if I could, please. My understanding from one of our prior meetings is that there wasn't ever actually a request for $300,000. There was information provided to us that there was a gap in their fundraising of $300,000. So that was never actually requested from County Council. I just want to ensure that my understanding of that matches the record that exists. Thank you.
That is correct, yes. Hey, Councillor Klopp.
Thank you. Yes, I'll be supporting the motion. The issue, I guess, I look at is we make trade-offs in business. It was talked about earlier in the discussion with Minnesota. They're about 180,000 to go, and I think there's other avenues. They said that there was other people that could that were looking at loans, and yes, it was 9%. But any of us in this room, some of us remember borrowing money at 23%, 16%, and you make choices. And I think that is the reality of this. A few weeks ago, I supported a motion to help make decisions here that can free up money. And I think we need to do more of that. That was the intent of a motion a few weeks ago that is still on the table to look at, about how we find 1.7 million that could free up in our business plan for planning. That frees up. In our case of Blue Water, that's 335,000. The other day when I on behalf, and I don't know how the deputy did, but we're all, once the vote carries, we're all supported. Individually, you can say I didn't, but that's not the point. I can use the argument a little bit to back in Blue Water that we freed up $200,000 of Goderich's capital by us supporting 38,000 on extra new tax in Blue Water. I guess I look at that. I said to the people that want to ask, and if they do, it's about, we do share this building, but I can also say it also helps the lower tier free up money? Because that's been brought up to me. And I said, yes, but maybe they have other things that they can now use. And I said, I'm going to tie that in a little bit of my saying I'm supporting that we at this level do not support. I go back to a few years ago when it came and about the North Slope, and it was told to us that the engineer says if we don't do this, it's going to fall down. And the council of the day said, go out and get it, and we're not in the business. The last time they came, or the second time, I'm not sure which, we've had a number of times coming at this at the actual bridge. But I did ask, what about that? Was that done? And the answer was, no, it hasn't been done. And I went, okay, so we didn't get there. And apparently it isn't as big an issue, but I guess these little things still come back to it's taxes, and it's about local to double dip right across this municipality and right across into Howick, because it goes from Howick to South Huron. When we did the 200,000, it was about 10,000 of their tax dollars, but that does have freed up some money, and coupled with their acknowledgement that they can probably get a loan, and it's not going to be 300,000, it's going to be less. And if they were offering the 100,000 to us paid back, I do want to bring this point up. I thought I heard him say, well, it's money that's already going to be there next year. I just throw this out. If I thought I heard the 775 was money that's going to be already earmarked for a few years. So I certainly wonder if it may be a problem if I would be part of a loan. I think they should go to business loans where loans are made and do with it there. And yes, I should give a support to help that, but that's where I'm at.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Councillor Basnet.
Just for a point of clarification, just so I know where we're at here, because I think this is getting muddy. So currently the motion that we're going to vote on is the Council of the County of Huron does not approve funding of 300,000 to the Menastongue Bridge Association in any form. So if the majority of council passes to approve this motion, there's no other motion that can be brought forward, correct? Or can another motion be brought forward? Because they never asked for 300,000. And at what point does another motion be brought forward? Right after this one is approved?
Our clerk will clarify that for you.
Lots of questions there, Councillor Basnet. Excellent. So
my apologies, but I just want it to be clear, because if we could be sending the wrong message to the 4 people on this organization as well. If some of us do want to support maybe $100,000 loan instead of $300,000, which they don't need. We just found that out earlier in the meeting. So that's why I'm asking for some clarification. Thank you.
So clarification. So the motion that's on the floor was the motion that was presented with the staff report from Treasurer Blumhagen, and it did have the 300,000. It was moved in and seconded. Okay, so and it was to say, no, we do not want to give them $300,000. Okay, so if you approve this motion, you are not giving them $300,000 done and over. Okay, that does not mean you cannot bring forward another motion. I mean, we did ask for some more information that came forward. It did come forward. There's some changing information that came in with some, best option, second best option, third best option. That's what they presented to you in the report today. If you choose to make a motion to go down there, my recommendation to you would be to get a staff report on those 3 options. You don't have to do that. I mean, it is council. You have the choice to make any of the decisions you want, or you can just leave it and move on to the next item on the agenda. That is absolutely your choice.
I appreciate that point of clarification.
Okay, any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I am going to turn it over to Clerk Cronin to conduct a recorded vote.
Okay, so I'm going to read the motion. Moved by Councillor P. Heffer and seconded by Councillor J. Dietrich, that the Council of the Corporation of the County of Huron receives the report by Michael Bloomhagen, Treasurer and Director of Corporate Services, dated March 5th, 2025, titled Minnesota Bridge Association Funding as presented for information, and further that the Council of the County of Huron does not approve funding of $300,000 to the Minnesota Bridge Association in any form. I'm going to call your name. You say yay or nay. If you say yay, you are agreeing that we don't give them 300,000. If you say no, you are in opposition of this. Okay. Random order. Councillor Ginn.
I'll support the motion, but I will be bringing forward another one.
Councillor Dietrich.
Yes.
Councillor McNeil.
Yes.
Councillor Bazinet.
Yay.
Councillor McClellan. Mac Clellan.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Mac Clellan.
Yes.
Councillor Finch.
Yes.
Councillor Van Stone.
Yes.
Councillor Harding.
Yes.
Councillor Anderson.
Yay.
Councillor P. Heffer. Councillor Noel.
Yay.
Councillor McClellan.
Yes.
Warden Heffer.
Yay.
Councillor Becker.
Yes.
Councillor Klopp.
Yes, sorry.
Unanimous to vote that motion to not approve funding.
All right, just before we move on, I just have always told people vote early and vote often. And this is the first time somebody's took me up on that. So thanks for voting twice. All right.
Well done.
So, all right. So that motion carried. Council, what do you wish to do on this item now? Councillor, past Warden again.
Yes, I would propose a motion that staff work with the Bridge Association on a loan to cover the shortfall that they need to finish the work this year. Because we know if it goes into a second year, it's another $100,000 that they have to raise. So I want to work with volunteers.
Okay, a motion has been put forward. Councillor Bazinet would second that. And I would ask our scribe when she's ready just to make sure that she's got everything that was intended on with that.
For clarification, you're asking just for a loan to complete the project for 2025. You don't want to look at any of the best option, next best, and also helpful that he did present.
No, I'm supportive of the moratorium of not funding. I agree with that. But let's I said, in Central Huron, we've loaned organizations money before and had excellent results, both financially and, for the betterment of the community. So my motion will stand that we just look at a loan to cover the shortfall that they need to complete the project this year.
So that motion has been made and been seconded.
Order, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Is there a dollar limit on your? Is there a dollar limit on this?
My math tells me they're short 185,000, so that's what I would be looking at.
Past Warden McClellan.
I would actually ask if we leave the amount out because the motion says have our staff work with them. Let's wait till we get the information back of what the actual request is so that if there is a request, whether it be 180, whether it be 100 or whatever, let's decide on the amount at that point.
Councillor Finch.
Yeah, thank you. Through the warden, I reiterate what I said earlier. This is not in our wheelhouse. This is not something we're supposed to be doing. This is that slippery slope we get told about all the time. If we start to negotiate this or go back and forth, what are we trying to accomplish here? This is not the proper use of tax dollars. No disrespect to the volunteers, but I can think of a dozen organizations right now that would like to be here also asking for interest-free loan. We need to show leadership, simple as that, and understand what those tax dollars are for. Those tax dollars are made and provided to us by hardworking individuals from across 9 lower tiers. I can't support this motion at all. Thank you.
Councillor Vanstone.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I'd like to speak in favor of this because these are hardworking individuals that are doing something for the community. And when fellow councilors say that we're using taxpayers' money not in the right way, then we should look at then paving the sides of the road for companies. That we've looked at that favorably. We've also done it favorably. And so that, at my point, if we're going to do that for a company, we definitely should help these volunteers out. So I think I will be supporting this. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Councillor Klopp?
Yeah, whether it's 180 or 190, I stand about that it is still not what I think we can ask the taxpayers of Huron County to help on. It's been stated that they could get a loan, and I think a loan would be a lot cleaner. And I'm sure that any organization that they get a loan from, that's where they should, and I'm sure they'll get respected and not foreclosed on. And at the same time, we did actually make, I think, a final decision that we're not paving the sides of roads, and I know we had one at the haters, and I think we did make the motion that no, we're not doing if it's regarding the budget. So it is, and that's kind of in the south. If looking at the north and south issues, it isn't about the deal here. Of course, it's a great investment, but it's just again going back to there are other avenues, and I think it'd be a lot wiser and better for everyone. Our taxpayers have lots of issues at the local level. As I said, I'll defend 38,000 more going up to help out. And, but that took 38,000. That means that there's maybe some things not going to happen in Blue Water in our budgets. So it's, it's just time to, I unfortunately have to say no.
Okay. Councillor Finch?
Yeah, thank you. And through my friend's comments about the paved shoulders are part of our county assets. So if we're going to invest our money, our tax dollars, we need to do that into our county assets. The paving project we talked about at Haters was turned down because of the cost of it, but that's a county asset and was to provide protection to those people that walk back and forth. And our greatest responsibility is to the protection of the people who elected us because it's their tax dollars. This can be accomplished, as been described by others. It can also be accomplished, as I said earlier, if Central Huron wants to jump in on it, and Goderich, the town of Goderich and ACW, so be it. That's within their own respective jurisdiction. But I do not believe we would be acting in the best interest by providing county tax dollars from 9 lower tiers for a loan, which is not within our wheelhouse at all. So I'll be asking for a recorded vote. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Harding.
I got the answer to my previous question, which was the reason I can't support this, because I could support a motion with a limited gift or amount being loaned or whatever, but I cannot leave the checkbook wide open and support this.
Okay. Councillor Heffer.
Thank you, Warden. I say no to this. It's coming up, but my thing is, I think we're taking up a lot of staff time in this, and I think we can be putting their time to a lot better use. Thank you.
Councillor Dietrich.
And I can't support it. I think we're opening up a brand new can of worms here by loaning organizations money. And we're going to have a lot more organizations coming forward. And I do not blame them if we're going to give them an interest-free loan. Thank you.
Councillor Basnet.
Could I have the motion read again, please?
Go ahead, Clerk Cronin.
I haven't read it yet. So it was moved by Councillor Ginn and seconded by Councillor Basnet, I believe. So this is what I've drafted. Tell me if I'm close. The Council of the County of Huron requests staff prepare a report in collaboration with the Minnesotang Bridge Association that will outline a loan to cover the shortfall of the cost required in 2025 for the bridge rehabilitation project.
Yes, Basnet.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I'm talking a lot today. Sorry for that. But so we don't even know what the shortfall is. It's a good motion, but the way I read that motion is we're going to have a staff report come back to let us know what the shortfall is. And then I think that's when the decision should be made. I find it hard to defeat a motion that says what it says when we don't even know what the amount is. And if we're basing our decision off moratoriums, I also question, why do we continue to have groups come and ask us for money if we're going to continue to say no because of the moratorium? Maybe that just needs to be made clear to everyone moving forward as well. Thank you.
Last call, Councillor Finch.
Thank you. And I respect everyone's comments and opinions, which is great. That's what democracy is all about. But we're a county council. We're not the Bank of Canada. We're not any other bank. We do not provide loans for private entities. It's a slippery slope. The taxpayers will be, I can imagine, quite offended if they start finding out we're giving out interest-free loans with their tax dollars. So we have to be accountable, and leadership is about being accountable. So we cannot support this motion. Thank you.
Clerk Cronin, would you conduct the vote, please?
It would be my pleasure. So I will read the motion again. That the Council of the County of Huron requests staff prepare a report in collaboration with the Menasautung Bridge Association that will outline a loan to cover the shortfall of the costs required in 2025 for the bridge rehabilitation project. I'm going to say your name. Please indicate yay or nay. Councillor Vanstone.
Yes.
Councillor Klopp.
No.
Councillor McNeil.
No.
Councillor Bernie McClellan. Warden Heffer.
No.
Councillor Harding.
No.
Councillor Bazinet.
Yay.
Councillor Ginn.
Yay.
Councillor Elvin McClellan.
No.
Councillor Becker.
Nay.
Councillor Finch.
No.
Councillor Noel.
Yay.
Councillor Heffer. Councillor Anderson.
Yay.
Councillor Dietrich.
No.
I ran out of fingers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The motion fails 6-9. They can do whatever they don't want to make another motion then.
Two options ahead of us. One is to make another motion, and the other option is to continue on in the agenda and consider this a done deal. I'm not getting any responses there, so I'm going to move on in our agenda. Is there any notice of motion to put forward? Seeing none, we do have bylaws. It's bylaw number 034, 2025. And is there someone willing to adopt that bylaw? That's Councillor McClellan, seconded by Councillor Vanstone. Those in favor? And that is carried. Upcoming meetings, make yourself aware of what you're responsible for in that list there. And I'd be looking for a confirmatory bylaw. Councillor Harding, Councillor Becker would second that. Those in favor? And who would like to adjourn our meeting this morning? That's Councillor Dietrich and Councillor Heffer. Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you for your thoughts and your time put into our agenda this morning.